Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S.
And coming up, we'll take a look at how one campus organization seeks to help those affected.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Maddie Sabourin.
And I'm Ashley Muller.
Just days after current Ole Miss Chancellor Jeffrey Vitter announced he'll be stepping down in January, a new interim chancellor has been named.
Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, Larry Sparks, will take over in Vitter's place. Sparks has worked for the university since 1997 and earned his accountancy degree from Ole Miss.
We spoke to Sparks earlier this afternoon, and he says he is honored to be selected for this role and plans to hit the ground running with his staff on January 4th.
I don't believe that we should just be treading water, if you will, during the transition period. I think we should be attempting to continuing to move the institution forward and for it to be in an even better position when a new permanent chancellor is selected and in place.
Vitter says in a press release, Larry Sparks is an outstanding administrator and a lifelong rebel who has been a leader at the University of Mississippi for more than 2 decades. I am committed to supporting Larry in any way that I can. For a full transcription of Sparks' interview, head to our YouTube page. Rebels for Suicide Prevention became a registered student organization last month, which put them at the perfect time to host an event before the end of the semester. NewsWatch reporter Nadja Jauregui has the story.
That's right, Maddie. Rebels for Suicide Prevention held a Survivors of Suicide candlelight ceremony yesterday in remembrance of those we have lost to suicide. President and founder Elizabeth Long says she wants this program to bring comfort and help to those in need.
Survivors of Suicide Candlelight brought students together to share their stories and bring comfort to one another. Graduate Assistant Bianca Abney says she hopes this program will help people feel comfortable with seeking help.
Hopefully the public can bring awareness of suicide prevention and they can just be aware of those warning signs of anxiety and depression and just reach out to people and in the stigma of mental health, because it is a sign of strength to reach out to a mental health professional.
The organization plans to host further events to raise awareness. President Elizabeth Long says that she hopes to diminish the negative stigma surrounding mental illnesses.
You know, if you have a mental illness and, somebody, they think, oh, well, this person's crazy, but we're not going to talk about it. But that can be further from the truth. There's so many people that have mental illnesses and are perfectly normal and can function in society. I have depression and anxiety, and I am still able to do everything on a day-to-day basis.
On November 30th, the Lyric will be hosting a benefit concert for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, sponsored by Ole Miss Associations. If you or a loved one is dealing with serious mental illnesses, please seek your local counseling center. Ashley, back to you.
Thanks, Nadja. With the colder weather and the holidays right around the corner, it can be difficult for many to find a meal. NewsWatch reporter Madison Ames tells us about the issue of food insecurity and how local organizations are looking to tackle the problem.
The donations pour in and are ready to be sorted at the Oxford Lafayette Food Pantry. While volunteers are typically pretty busy organizing canned goods and helping out, there is always more to do and more people to help.
We're a busy month, November, but we get a lot of donations too. So I think even though it's a busy month, it's also we get a lot of donations.
Although there are lots of donations, there are never too few. According to the USDA Economic Research Service, approximately 15 million U.S. households suffer from food insecurity, with Mississippi ranking the 3rd highest after Alabama and Louisiana. Because of this, the food pantry does their best to meet people's needs.
It's a supplement. It's not all their food. It's just a supplement. And we have a certain list that's got how many people in the family get this much. So everybody doesn't get the same. If you got 1 or 2 people, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and then like right now she had a big family, so we'll give her some of the big cans we have.
The elderly suffer from food insecurity the most. According to FeedingAmerica.com, nearly 5 million senior citizens suffer from hunger.
Some of them, all they have is Social Security. Sometimes it's whether they get their medicine or eat. Medications, prescriptions are just so high now. Got to do one or the other.
Senior citizens are not the only age group suffering from hunger, though. According to a study by the Hope Center, 36% of university students are affected by food insecurity.
The cost of living is already so high when you're a college student, and you don't often have an opportunity to try to secure these resources or secure income when you're focused on your grades. And so the biggest thing from college students is to feel the pressure to give up on food, but that can really have really detrimental impacts on your academics.
In an effort to continue to assist the nutritional values of students at Ole Miss specifically, the UM Garden steps in and helps out the Ole Miss Food Bank.
We just grow veggies like kale, carrots, radishes, etc. Lots of veggies, and everything we grow we donate to the UM Food Bank on campus.
On top of the already high number of those suffering from food insecurity, this time of year seems to hit people the hardest.
The biggest thing is going to be that financial aid also tends to run out as the semester comes to a close, and so you see people who are maybe running out of money when they didn't expect it to happen, and so this would be our busiest time of year.
Madison Amen, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
If you'd like to donate food for the upcoming holidays, you can donate to the Ole Miss Food Pantry, located in Kennard Hall, or at Walmart and Kroger. The annual Doors of Hope Transition Ministries Holiday House Tour is on December 1st from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The tour will feature 6 historic homes on North 14th Street and North Lamar Boulevard. Information about the home, family, and decorations will be inside each house. Donations from the tour go directly towards the ministry's Self-Sufficiency Transitional Empowerment Program, which helps homeless and at-risk homeless families become self-reliant. Tickets are $20 pre-purchased and $25 at the day of the event.
Looks like Oxford isn't just a place for college students. Oxford-Lafayette County has received the Seal of Approval Award from the American Association of Retirement Communities during a conference held last week. The AARC has recognized Oxford as one of the best places to retire in the country. Oxford is an ideal place for retirees because of easy access to an international airport, low cost of living, mild seasons, and extensive recreational and community-focused amenities. With the approach of duck hunting season in Mississippi, hunters are training their dogs to be prepared. Hunters harvest over 300,000 birds per year in Mississippi. NewsWatch reporter Amanda Haley has more.
Hunting dogs are essential for a successful duck hunting season in Mississippi, and dog training is a big business in the state. Marty Roberts is the founder and owner of Sporting Life Kennels in Oxford. He has been training dogs since he was 17 years old and says hunters have a strong connection with their canines.
As far as the companionship of a dog and man hunting together, but it really comes together with waterfowl hunting. They really very much rely on each other, and it's a partnership.
Roberts breeds, trains, and sells dogs to clients all over the world.
People will spend money on their pets before they'll spend money on themselves. So it's a pretty recession-proof business in that regard.
On average, purchasing and training a dog costs up to $5,000. Although the price of training is high, there's an immense amount of work involved.
There's a lot of structure that has to go into the training itself. When it's done well, it's great. Yeah. Now there's different philosophies on training. High pressure, you put a lot of pressure on the dogs. We're somewhere in the middle. We like to find the balance. We want happy dogs, we want dogs that mind. So we'll blend positive techniques with negative techniques, but when they come together, it works very well.
Ole Miss student John McKay has been training hunting dogs for the last 3 years.
We like to keep them just super happy as they can be. If you got happy dogs, they're going to work good for you. So we really keep that in the back of our mind all the time. Even when sometimes it gets tough and a dog's not listening, you can't really, you don't want to get really abusive or anything like that with them.
McKay says training these dogs have been rewarding for both him and the owners.
I love when the people come to pick up their dogs, and every time they're like, oh my gosh, like this is a new dog, like he's so trained and this and that, and it's just really rewarding.
And rewarding for the dogs too. Dr. Beth at Paul's Animal Hospital says the process of training a dog to hunt can be very beneficial for the dog's health and intelligence.
The dogs probably really enjoy it because they're smart dogs that are born to work and they love to have jobs. And so I think that's important for their mental health to have a job.
Around 75 dogs per kennel are trained each year for duck hunting season in Mississippi, which will continue until the end of January. Amanda Haley, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
Duck hunting season in Mississippi officially begins on November 23rd and will last for approximately 2 months.
If you've ever wanted to travel around the world, then look no further. One organization brought the cultures to us here on campus. NewsWatch reporter Lauren Conley gives us a look into last night's event.
The International and American Student Alliance at Ole Miss hosted its second annual International Culture Night at the Gertrude Ford Center. Co-president of their cross-cultural committee, Shivani Thapa, says the event gives international students a chance to show the campus who they are.
I think it's a really fun event where everyone gets to see the different cultures and the different countries that people come from, and it also kind of provides international students with a platform because we don't get many stage performance opportunities here.
Behind these doors, more than 100 people are here to celebrate and experience the different cultures of the world, and based on the performance schedule, 8 countries are being represented. The night included acts such as Irish dancing, fashion shows, and instrumental recitals. Co-founder of an Ole Miss Korean pop dance group, Delaney Mason, says her favorite part of the night was showing the audience how much work everyone put in to make the event successful.
I think everyone really enjoyed being able to showcase how hard we've worked throughout the semester on stage, finally getting to perform and show how far we've come.
Thapa says this is the biggest event this semester for the organization, but they hope to have more events like this in the future. Lauren Cunley, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
IASA will host a festival in the spring where different countries will showcase their culture's food, dress, and traditions.
Well, the judge has ruled in the CNN versus White House case, and coming up, we'll tell you who came out on top.
And winter weather didn't just hit Oxford this week. It has also made its way to the Northeast. And stay tuned to see the impact one snowstorm is having. But first, Kayla White has your first look at the current conditions.
Good evening, Rebels and Hotties. The weather has been so disrespectful lately, but luckily that fall weather will continue. It's going to be pretty dry, and that's going to lead us on until Thanksgiving, so we will be thankful for that. If we look at our radar image, you can see that there's not much going on in Mississippi or in our part of town, and if you stick with me for Storm Watch, I'll let you know what to pack in that suitcase.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Here she comes. I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said she won't be taking you in as a client.
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
Breaking news this afternoon, Brian Kemp will be the newest governor of Georgia. His Democratic opponent, Stacey Abrams, has conceded. Abrams has been fighting to include provisional and absentee ballots, hoping to close her 18,000 vote deficit for a runoff in December. Abrams was considering further legal action but decided to end her campaign. Brian Kemp is the 89th governor of Georgia and the third Republican elected in a row. After a legal battle between CNN and the Trump administration, a judge has ruled that Jim Acosta's First and Fifth Amendment rights were violated and he will be returning to the White House. President Trump said in a conference earlier today that if reporters don't behave, then they'll end up back in court.
People have to behave, and they have to do, we're writing up rules and regulations to make our position. I think you were treated very unfairly, both of you. I think you were treated very unfairly because you have somebody interrupting you. And if they don't listen to the rules and regulations, we'll end up back in court and we'll win. But more importantly, we'll just leave, and then you won't be very happy.
The White House Correspondent Association said that taking away Acosta's press pass was wrong and dangerous. The association welcomed Judge Kelly's ruling and thanked the news outlets and reporters who stood up for a free and independent media.
Officials are working around the clock to find any potential survivors and human remains from the deadly California wildfires. Tens of thousands of residents are still displaced from their homes. The number of missing is staggering.
The number of people who are still looking for, who are unaccounted for, has increased to 631.
The death toll is rising.
We have located 7 additional human remains.
And the destruction is overwhelming.
141,000 acres.
The state of California is reeling after more than a week of devastating wildfires. Officials continue the disheartening task of combing through debris and burned down structures, looking for additional human remains. They hope the hundreds of people missing are still alive, either in shelters or safe with family or friends, unaware that the state is looking for them. The deadly campfire that nearly wiped out the city of Paradise is roughly 45% contained.
I don't know if there's ever going to be a Paradise again. You know, and I don't know if it's going to be a long time. I'm sure everything is gone. So, I don't know. That's the hard part right now, is what I'm going to do next.
In Southern California, where the Woolsey fire killed at least 3 people and wiped out more than 98,000 acres, several mandatory evacuations remain in place.
We go from being thankful for what wasn't destroyed to being devastated by what was.
The good news for residents and firefighters, winds are expected to die down over the weekend, and rain is in the forecast next week. President Trump is expected to visit California on Saturday to meet with first responders and victims. A destructive storm in the eastern U.S. has caused over 400,000 power outages, school closures, and major travel disruptions. Commuters going over the George Washington Bridge in New York City were delayed for hours due to a multi-vehicle accident. Drivers in Pennsylvania were stuck in an overnight traffic delay. There's potential for 6 to 12 inches of snow spreading from western Maryland to northwestern Maine. However, sleet and freezing rain may cut down on accumulation.
Well, I'm thankful that our snow little blurb wasn't that bad.
Could have been
after our snow on Wednesday, yeah. It seems like the normal fall weather is returning to Oxford.
And coming up in her extended forecast, Kayla White will let us know if we're done with winter temperatures.
Leah, did you put a new dent in that? This one? No. Were you texting and driving again? Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about your bumper.
Disaster tips from the objects left behind.
My home wasn't insured, but you can check your insurance policy now to make sure you're covered. Oh.
My savings are lost, but you can put money aside and plan for unexpected disaster costs.
We're lost forever, but you can scan important documents now so they survive.
Whoa. For more tips on how to prepare, visit ready.gov.
Good evening, Rebels and Hottie Toddy. We are sitting at a cool and clear 54 degrees. If you look behind me at our satellite image, you see that there's not much activity going on where we are. Moving on to our current temperatures, you see that Oxford's at 54 degrees, South Haven at 55, Hollick Springs below us at 53 along with Current, and then Tupelo topping us off at 55 with South Haven. And then tomorrow, things will heat up just a bit. Oxford and South Haven at 65, Hollick Springs right below us is at 64, Current at 66 along with Tupelo. Moving on to our tomorrow's temperatures, or tonight's forecast, excuse me, we're sitting at a cool 37 degrees. So I would bundle up, make sure that heat is on the way to wherever you're going, if you're going out of town. And then tomorrow, things will be nice and clear, 65 degrees, so things are warming up just a little bit, nice and sunny. And then as we take a look onto our 5-day forecast, temperatures are evening out here. We in the lower 50s, higher 50s throughout the week. Cool and clear weather, dry, great for Turkey Day. Back to y'all.
Thanks, Kayla. The Ole Miss basketball team have their first true road test when they take on Butler. Can they pull out an upset?
And with losses piling up for the football team, will they get back in the win column in Nashville? Find out up next in Sports Watch.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Welcome to Sports Watch. I'm Skye Spiehler. The Ole Miss Hoop Squad gets back on the court tonight against Butler up in Indianapolis. This one's likely to be a tough challenge for the Rebs. Butler is 2-0, and they've brought back 3 out of 5 starters from last year, one of which is Kamar Baldwin, who's averaging 23.5 points per game. For Ole Miss, we know Terrence Davis is a leader on this team. In that first game, the Rebels produced 15 steals, 3 of which came from Davis. Look for Ole Miss to play aggressive defense and push the pace tonight. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock on FS2. The football team's headed to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt tomorrow. Both teams enter this game with a 1-5 record in the SEC, and both of their only conference wins are against a bottom-feeder Arkansas team. The high-flying Ole Miss offense will need to execute on deep passing plays to move the ball against a mediocre Vandy secondary. Defensively, the Rebels haven't been able to stop anyone they've faced, so they'll be probably relying on turnovers to slow down the Commodores' attacks. Vanderbilt's a 3-point favorite, but I think the Rebs have a good chance to win this one outright. Last Saturday, the soccer team defeated Clemson 2-1, and that means they're on to the second round of the NCAA tournament. Who better to face than the top-ranked team in the country? The Rebels will face the Stanford Cardinal tonight out there in Cali at 10 p.m. Central Time. Ole Miss is the underdog, and understandably so. Stanford hasn't lost in 42 matches. They've got the second-ranked scoring offense in the nation, and they've got a senior keeper who's giving up an average of less than a half a goal per game. Stanford's led by Pac-12 Coach of the Year Paul Radcliffe, so it'll be tough sledding for the Rebels tonight. In addition to the soccer team, the men and women's cross-country teams are competing on the national level. Sports Watch reporter Halle Ames is live in the newsroom with more on the Rebel success. Halle?
The men and women's cross-country team will be headed to the NCAA tournament for the third year in a row, making them just one of 9 teams to ever do this. The men's team took home their first SEC championship, putting to end the Arkansas Razorbacks' 8-year winning streak. The men were led to victory by junior Farah Abdul-Kareem, who finished at an astounding 3rd place overall. The men also secured the NCAA South Region win last week. These big-time wins made naming men's coach Ryan Vanahoy SEC Men's Coach of the Year and the USTFCCCA Men's South Region Coach of the Year a no-brainer. Although the men have been on a hot streak, the women should not be overlooked. The women's cross-country team placed 3rd for a 3rd consecutive year at the SEC Championship. After an impressive performance at Florida State last week, 4 Rebels were named All-Region. Canadian sophomore Cleo Ozaine-Jacques placed 109th overall and was named 2nd team All-SEC after a 12th place finish at the conference meet. Both teams will hopefully be making history once again and bring their fairy tale season to a happy close tomorrow in Madison, with the women's 6K starting at 10:45 and the men's 10K at 11:45 a.m.
Rams on 3! 1, 2, 3!
If you can't make it to Madison this weekend, then you can still catch it on TV. That's all for sports. Be sure to follow our Twitter at NewsWatch_UM for live game updates from Jason Price for tomorrow's game at Vanderbilt. Maddie, Ashley, back to you.
Thanks, Skye. Up next, see how one police officer and his new partner are giving a meaning to cat and mouse pursuit.
And stay tuned to see this positively cute story and why the department may need to start an A Canine Saves Lives unit.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
In North Carolina, one police lieutenant has quite the perfect partner. Meet Officer Mercy Meow. Hillsborough Police Lieutenant Andy Simmons met Mercy only a few months ago, and Simmons knew it was meant to be. He adopted Mercy and then brought her to work.
So what does a lieutenant and his officer Cat do on the job? Anywhere you find Lieutenant Simmons, you'll always find Mercy not too far away. But with the two together, the hope is that they can make a bigger and better impact. Lieutenant Simmons says once Mercy retires, she'll spend her days with his family at home.
That is just too cute. So Kayla, what is our Thanksgiving break weather going to look like here in Oxford?
Well, temperatures are going to stay about the same, but you'll have plenty of warm, hot food to keep you nice and stuff. That's
perfect. Sounds good. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss.